Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cougar, the Bitch, and the Wardrobe. I'm your host, Lana Mazer, also known as Curated by the Cougar. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. And if you are already a listener and a subscriber, welcome back. It means so much to me to have all of you here and helping to grow the podcast by tuning in. So today I'm going to try something a little different. Normally, I have my notes to help keep me on track, but today I don't. So we'll see how that goes. But I really wanted this to be more informal. Not that I'm ever so formal, but this is going to be a little bit informal and just wanted to be a life update, if you will, just a conversation about things that have been going on for me, everything that has transpired over the last couple of months, and where I am now, and looking towards the future. So, the first thing on my mind is that I just came back from Rome and I was there for a week and was there with my two boys. And as you know, they are 10 and 12. They have summer birthdays, so they'll be turning 11 and 13 this summer. And it was an adventure. As you may know, if you have children or you have traveled with family members or friends that have children, it's not really a full vacation. It can be exhausting with snippets of relaxation, as I like to say. So, but it was really a beautiful experience for me, and I've had some time to reflect on it a bit. And I felt that this was something that really needed to happen and came at a very good time. I have felt for myself over the last few months, if not over the last year, that I was easily triggered by my children and sometimes needing to dig deep to find the patience. And it wasn't something that I was happy about or proud of because I know from experience being raised by two parents that I felt were very, I'm trying to search for the right word, not just anxious, but my mother, as I've discussed, was mentally ill, and I really suffered as a child trying to connect with my mother, I guess. And so it was always really important to me to connect deeply with my children. But the stressors of life are always there. And as much as I hate to say it, like life does get in the way. And I also felt, especially with my older son, he has ADHD and he does have OCD. And I felt very much that I was this receptacle for his anxiety and his OCD. And I also feel that I am a receptacle for my father's anxiety and OCD. And that was kept on filling and filling and filling. And that has been overflowing for quite a while right now. So it would just take the tiniest bit from my son. And as I mentioned, like, or I call it a trigger that would set me off. And I have been working on that within myself. I am in therapy and I'm constantly seeking for ways to manage that and improve as a parent. And I felt that having that space, having that time away with my boys in Rome, I think really helped me see them in a different way, almost like, they're on the cusp of, I mean, they're definitely not babies anymore, they're not even little kids anymore. They are preteens. And so I'm starting to see that in them and the connection that we have at this stage in their lives, even though I'm going to have teenage boys, and how much they are attached to me in a beautiful, beautiful way. And although sometimes I get annoyed or frustrated that I need some personal space, but I love how much they love being with me and how they want to spend time with me. And I saw that in such a different light when we were away and how much I really need to cherish those moments. And I'm really now trying to view things differently and trying to be, like I said, more patient, more understanding, and rather than getting triggered, trying to work through that myself, managing my reactions, my responses, and really being someone that they can continue to come to and we can connect and bond even more. So it was really wonderful. I do have to share a funny story though. So we're Jewish, and obviously Italy is a Catholic country. And I mean, my boys know enough about Catholicism and Christianity and about Jesus. And I've tried to educate them as best as I can on other people's religions and cultures. And we went to the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel. And of course, their biggest takeaway of going to the Sistine Chapel was the word virgin. That was hysterical. And there's, obviously the Virgin Mary, and she's very popular in Rome and is obviously depicted in many, many paintings at the Vatican. And they were very curious about the Vatican, which was great. And it is, if you haven't gone, it is, I mean, quite possibly one of the most spectacular places to ever visit. I mean, it is so beautiful. I can't even put into words the Sistine Chapel, and obviously so much history. And I hired a tour guide to take us around. And they asked the tour guide, and this poor woman had to explain to them. I tried to explain to them, but their biggest question was, how did the Virgin Mary get pregnant if she had never had sex? And that's exactly what they asked the Italian tour guide. So that was, you know, I mean, obviously a good question. And I said, listen, we can't explain it. You just have to accept it for what it is. And they refused to accept it and were still very confused by it. And I said, I know it's confusing, but this is just something you're just going to have to accept and move on. So that was their biggest takeaway from the Sistine Chapel and from the Vatican. But outside of that, we also went to Pompeii, which to me was fascinating and one of the most, I mean, it was spectacular to see in the sense that this was a preserved city that was built before Christ. And you can still see things, buildings, frescoes, tiled patios that remained because they had been covered in volcanic ash, skeletons of a horse. It was also very upsetting too because you see the forms of the people as well, which is really horrifying and sad to think about the fear that in those moments before these people died. I mean, I can't even imagine. But it was really so interesting and mind blowing. And so, if you have not gone there to Pompeii, I highly recommend that you go because I have been to Rome now 3 times, and this was my first time in Pompeii. So that was really, really incredible. And we went to a soccer game. I'm supposed to call it football. So, you know what I'm talking about. That was incredible. And then for someone who is not a sports fan, that was amazing. And I'm so glad that I went. And what else can I tell you? And then I did also, we had great meals, obviously. That goes without saying. And it was also nice. I did have some time with a very dear friend of mine, my friend Jenna, who was on the podcast last week. She's my dear friend who lives in Zurich. And we went together on a Caravaggio walking tour. And I love Caravaggio's work. His paintings are incredible. And so is she also loves his painting. So it was really fun for us to go together. And then we did do some shopping. So at the end of the podcast today, before we say our farewells, I will do my unboxing that I've been saving just for the purposes of the podcast. So that was a lot of fun. So if you have not gone to Rome, I can't say enough great things about it. You can go alone, you can go with a friend, you can go with a significant other, family members, and it's great for kids. And if you ever have questions or need suggestions, please feel free to DM me. I have all the info for the tour guides, etc., that will really bring everything to life for you. So that was really great. And I think coming home from this trip has also now put me in this space where I was really excited to go on vacation. It was wonderful. And then it feels also great to come home. And I was really happy to come home. It was great to come home to gorgeous weather. I don't know about anyone else, but I am sick of the winter. I'm sick of snow. If I have to look at another fucking snowflake, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I was really happy to come home to beautiful weather. It is a little bit rainy and cold today, but I don't even care. It's not freezing. There's no snow. It's all good. So that also felt really great. And then it also put me back into this like forward momentum of what's the next month going to look like? What are the next 3 months going to look like? What's the summer going to look like? And so I've really started thinking about that quite a bit. And I have not yet really shared this, I don't think, on the podcast yet, but I started about a month ago a certification program to become a life coach. And I'm really excited about that. And I'll be sharing more information and details as the weeks go by. But I was really, truly inspired to become a life coach by my life coach, Brian Nathan. And he has helped me so significantly. It was something that he brought up and suggested it to me. And it was really just a perfect fit for my personality, for what I'm trying to build with my brand. I want to be working with women one on one in a coaching environment, working, doing group coaching as well. So that's something that I'm really excited about. And I had planned this trip with my boys months ago, and then I really only started or signed up for this certification in February. So I knew I was going to miss a week of my certification. And so I got back from my trip and I've been working really diligently to catch up. And so it did make me realize that between now and mid June, when the certification ends, like this is my priority. I really want to be very focused on this. I want to be present and successful with the program. So it really sets me in the right place to do this professionally. And then it also is happening in conjunction with me training for HYROX. So I am sure you've seen HYROX on social media. I guess the best way for me to describe it is a hybrid between running and CrossFit. So there's 8 running and 8 CrossFit stations. So like a sled pull and push, wall balls, ski erg, burpees. That's kind of the station aspect of it. I am partnered with my friend Mary, and she and I met at our gym. So we partnered, and we will be competing together at the event in New York City on May 31st. So that's also something that I'm training for and preparing for. So that happens at the end of May. And then I'm doing my certification, which ends mid June. So I feel very much like these are my major focuses right now. And I'm excited about it. Nervous, excited. I think I really have to get more practice in for my wall balls, because that for me is like the hardest thing, and I hate them, and I kind of suck at them. I always feel like a spaz when I'm doing it, and I'm not a spaz, but I feel like a spaz when I'm doing wall balls. Um, so that's what's going on for me up until like mid June, and so that's a lot. It's a lot, mentally, physically, emotionally. And then at the same time, I'm getting my boys through the end of the school year. And then they leave for sleepaway camp, which is great for them and great for me. We've talked about this before. And so over the summer, I will be doing a bit of travel, which I'm super excited about. I've already booked for the first part of the summer. I mean, literally right after the boys leave, I am flying to Dubrovnik. And my friend Lucy and I are going on a yacht cruise through Croatia. So that's going to be amazing. So that will be for a week. And I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen after that. We might check out Montenegro. And then probably I'll go back to Madrid with her for a little bit. Then I'll come back, and I'll be here in New Jersey for a couple of weeks, just sort of taking care of things at home. I'll go visit my boys at visiting day at their camp. And then probably early August, we'll be heading back to Europe for part 2, which will be more of like a European tour. My friend Albert is planning everything. Shout out to you, Albert. He's such an expert on that. And so he is putting together our itinerary. I think my friend Lucy and my friend Jenna might be joining us for part of it. I know they will definitely be joining us in Ibiza, since we're going to be going back. And so that's kind of what the next few months are looking like for me until August. And then my kids come back from camp at the end of August. And then I have my older son's bar mitzvah. So that's a whole thing too. So it's just a lot of things that are going on, all positive, but a lot. And I'm really looking forward to everything, and really looking to face everything head on, as I normally do. And it's given me also some, time to also think about my birthday. So I will be turning 49 on May 11th. And it's interesting for me because normally I love my birthday, and I love my birthday. I love celebrating other people's birthdays. And when it's my birthday, I want like a full on parade. And usually my birthday lasts for a month. And it's funny because this year I'm not really feeling that. I don't know why. Not from a place of like, oh, I'm getting old and I don't want to celebrate my birthday. No, it's not that. I don't know. It's just like, I'm just sitting in it right now and kind of trying to understand maybe why I'm feeling differently about it. And it's not that I'm not going to celebrate it. I am, but I'm almost coming from a place of wanting to celebrate it on my own. And usually in the past, I've always planned like at least like a dinner, like a big dinner or get together or something with friends. And this year, my birthday falls on a Monday. It's the day after Mother's Day. And I'm treating myself to a spa day. I'm going to go into the city. I'm going to my favorite spa. If you have not been there, it's the Shibui Spa at the Greenwich Hotel. It's amazing. I think it's the best spa. And I'm going to get a massage. I'm going to get a facial, just me. They have this unbelievable indoor swimming pool. Like you almost feel like you're swimming in this like brick grotto. It's incredible. And so that's what I'm going to do on my birthday. And then a couple days later, I mean, as I've talked about before, I love Broadway. And I am taking myself to go see Oh Mary on Broadway on Wednesday. I heard it's hysterical. And Maya Rudolph is playing the lead, and I can't wait to see her. So I think that's going to be incredible. And that's kind of it. I mean, absolutely. Like, I'll probably meet a friend for drinks or dinner somewhere in there, but it's not something that I'm like planning or like seeking. And usually, I plan this like a month or 2 months in advance. And maybe it's because next year is the big 50 and I've already booked the date for my birthday party and I'm throwing myself like a proper birthday bash and it's going to be incredible and it's going to be iconic and epic and all of the things. So, I don't know. So maybe I'm just going to do something a little bit just me, a little bit more low key, celebrating me just on my own. And then next year will be like, the big celebration, the big party. So that's where I'm at with my birthday. And it's kind of funny to think about turning 49. I was just about to say, like, I don't feel 49, but I also don't know what that means when I say that because what is 49 supposed to feel like? I feel that I I don't know. I feel great about turning 49. And I feel that I'm energetic. I'm in the best shape of my life. I feel better about myself today than I did 10, 15, 20 years ago. So it's a good place to be. It feels good. It's just so funny to think about. And a lot has happened in the last few years. So I think it is good sometimes to take a moment and reflect a little bit and maybe think about the future and I do think it is healthy to think about the past, not in a dwelling kind of way, but just to process and learn from situations and then move forward from them. I think forward movement is what is key. We don't want to stay stuck. So I've been thinking about that and just, I guess, how this year already feels really, really so different than last year in so many ways, in beautiful ways, and how much growth and progress I've made. And I also wanted to talk about, and I'm just thinking about this now because I think this is so important too. For 10 years, dealt with tinnitus or tinnitus. Everyone says it differently in my left ear. And it was extremely debilitating at times. And it was something that started when I was pregnant with my second son, and it came out of nowhere. And over the years, it just got worse and worse. And there were times when it did subside, and then times when it presented itself and it was kind of okay, like I can deal with this. But then times where I literally wanted to cut my head off because the sound was so upsetting and loud, and I didn't know what to do about it. And when this started for me, I went to see an ENT in the city, and he basically told me like, "Look, I don't see anything wrong, but you're pregnant, so maybe this is something that is due to like changes in blood pressure, hormones, or whatever." So he said, "Let's see if this goes away after you give birth." But it didn't. And over the years, I really sought out the most prominent experts at NYU. Like I saw an expert who, like the expert ear, nose, and throat doctor at NYU. I went to see a neurologist. They did an MRI of my brain to make sure like I didn't have a tumor. And at the end of the day, they said to me like, "We don't see anything. There's nothing wrong with you. You have tinnitus." And I just wouldn't accept that. And I guess like the reason why I'm telling this story is because it's always beneficial to get multiple opinions. And if something you feel inside you, it's not right, like I need to figure out why this is happening. And tinnitus, I was told over and over again, is such a nearly impossible thing to diagnose because there are a lot of reasons why people experience tinnitus. And obviously, it's not something that like you can see. So it's really hard to diagnose or figure out a solution. This past year was really amazing for me because I went to see a chiropractor in Bloomfield, New Jersey. And I had seen chiropractors before. And I'd also seen dental specialists who, like, I had veneers put on my bottom teeth because they thought it would open, like it was something with my bite or whatever, and nothing worked. And I went to see this chiropractor, Dr. Peter Scridelis, and I'm giving him a shout out because he was the one who said to me, "You have TMJ." And I said, "But I don't have joint pain. I don't even hear like any clicking." And he said, "No, you have TMJ. And I think you need to see a specialist who will give you like a bite plate. And I think that's a good place to start." And then I sought out Dr. Gelb. He is an expert doctor in TMJ, in sleep apnea, any kind of jaw issues. And he was like, "Yes, like you have severe TMJ, and it's so tight, especially on your left side, which is where I was experiencing the tinnitus." And he created a special bite plate for me. And already just with that, the problem improved significantly, if not went away. And he then referred me to a physical therapist, Mark Ferlito, who runs Vita Physio in Union Square. Him and his wife, Danny, they're both amazing human beings. And between the physical therapy, I mean, he literally like manipulates like my jaw and my skull and like the muscles in my neck. And it has created so much like release in those muscles that I am a new person because of these people. They gave me my life back. And I'm forever grateful. And so that was such a huge, huge gift. And I am forever grateful, really. I and so now what's really interesting for me is that when I have conversations with people, I realize now, I mean, TMJ is a common thing, but normally you think like, oh, if you have TMJ, like you have jaw pain, you hear clicking. I had none of those things. And with TMJ, things can sort of like it manifests itself in the body differently. So some people may have horrible vertigo. Some people get terrible migraines. And then some people have tinnitus. So it was just a really crazy journey. Because, like I said, it was 10 years of my life. And again, it's just a lesson that, sometimes we seek out professional help and we may not get the answers right away. And so I just want to encourage my listeners not to give up, because if you feel that something is off and you feel like there is a solution, I mean, not that anything is promised, but seek it out. Keep seeking it out until you get some sort of solid answer. And like I said, it took me 10 years. But so that to me also was like such a gift, and I feel so grateful to be sitting here today to tell you about this and about the amazing professionals that really helped me on this on this journey. So those have been for me like really these standout positive things that have been happening for me. And I think also I've gotten such a fresh perspective also on dating and what I want, I guess, like in my romantic love life. And the thing that I've really, really, I mean, I realized for myself, and I'm owning this now, is that this time where I really haven't been dating and haven't been involved with someone has given me the ability to recognize how much I feel like a complete human being, a happy and fulfilled human being without having a romantic partner. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't want one, but it just means that on my own, I feel satisfied. I feel happy. I feel complete. And so rather than bringing a man into my life and engaging with someone to feel complete, I already am complete. And so when I find the right person to be with, it's because we are enhancing each other's lives, not completing each other's lives. And I think that's really so key. Like, I feel happy and satisfied on my own. And I know in my heart that eventually I will meet that person. I will meet a man that that again, that like we have this love for each other, we enhance each other's lives, and enhancement can be through the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything. But I don't feel that I have to sacrifice on anything that's important to me or give up on anything that's important to me to get there. I think that I'll get there because I'm in this space in my life, and that's the energy that I'm putting out there and will attract that back. So that's been also a really amazing journey for me to be on as well, and to have arrived at this conclusion. So that also feels good. And the other thing that I have experienced lately too has unfortunately been the end of a couple of friendships. And I don't really want to get into all of the minutia and details because I want to keep people's business and their privacy out of respect for them. But that has been something that has been unfortunate and sad. But at the same time, I felt I needed to do those things in terms of self preservation. And I want to put that out there for my listeners today because we have talked about this so much, like creating boundaries for your own mental well being. And that's what this is about. There are people that are emotional parasites. And this one person in particular, that's the only way that I can describe her properly. And it just became so exhausting, so draining that I couldn't take it anymore. And unfortunately, that meant that the friendship had to end. And I was put in a situation where she really wanted me to clarify for her why our friendship was ending. And I felt that I didn't want to tell her because if I had to actually tell her, I would say, well, I think you're an emotional parasite. I think that you are probably one of the most selfish people I've ever met in my life. And I didn't want to do that because I do believe her to be emotionally and mentally unstable. And I don't want to contribute to that in any way. And so I just really said that I didn't feel that we were aligned as people and that I needed to step away from the friendship. And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is that you don't ever owe anybody an explanation. And maybe that's a controversial thing for me to say, and maybe you will agree or disagree, but sometimes less is more. Sometimes not saying anything is what it has to be. And I felt very strongly about that in this situation. And so that's what I chose. So again, like not something that I was happy about, but it was something that I felt was necessary. And so there we are. So that's pretty much been the update. And I would love to hear from my listeners. If you have any updates that you want to share with me, please feel free to DM me on Instagram or on TikTok at Curated by the Cougar. Please follow the podcast, listen, subscribe on Spotify and on Apple Music at The Cougar, the Bitch, and the Wardrobe. You can also find the podcast on YouTube at Curated by the Cougar. But before I let you go today, I did want to do my unboxing of my big purchase that I made in Rome. So this was my birthday present to me, and I can't wait to share it with you. So here we have it. I treated myself to a Ferragamo bag. It is my first Ferragamo purchase that I'm adding to my collection. And I have to say, I was just beyond impressed with the quality of the items there, the bags, the shoes, like the quality of the leather, the attention to detail. And also, I have to say that the sales associates were just so lovely and brought my friend and I a bottle of champagne. And it was just so much fun. And you know what? That's what shopping should feel like. It was just great. So it was such a memorable experience. And so here we go. And I just, again, I love the box. I love the red. It's so beautiful. And these little things make a difference. So here we go. Okay. Let's see. Just how I remembered her. Just stunning. Just stunning. I mean, it's everything. She's everything. And I just love also it has the gold chain, so you can also change how you carry her. And I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but she's like this beautiful chocolate brown, obviously with the feathers and the gold detail. So there you have it. Thank you for joining me today, and until next time.